Okay, so imagine this for a second. What if you could actually have or be or, do anything you wanted, like anything, no matter how big it sounds right now?
Yeah, that's quite the opener from the source material we're digging into today. It really grabs your attention.
It does. And it introduces this idea of the secret, not as some like new trend, but as this fundamental thing, a big secret to life that the author apparently stumbled upon.
Well, rediscovered, actually, after hitting a rough patch personally. And then her daughter gives her this really old book, like 100 years old.
And the claim is pretty huge, right? That this wasn't just her discovery, but that historical heavyweights knew about it. People like
Hmm.
Plato, Shakespeare, Newton,
Yeah.
even Einstein.
Beethoven,
Yeah.
Lincoln, Edison.
Yeah.
The list in the source is impressive, which immediately makes you think.
Yeah, exactly. If it's that powerful and those people knew it, why isn't it like taught in schools? Why doesn't everyone know this secret?
The source kind of touches on that. It suggests maybe this knowledge was, kept quiet, maybe in certain circles throughout history. So after finding this old book, the author, she apparently went looking for people today who understood and taught this same secret.
And the way it's described in the material, it's almost like just deciding to find them made them appear, like a magnet pulling them in one after another, these great living masters, as they're called.
It's quite a narrative. And this search, this sort of magnetic coming together, it led really quickly, like just months, to making a film about the secret.
Which is interesting in itself, right? If the secret is about attracting things, maybe the speed of the film's creation is meant as an example.
That's certainly one interpretation you could draw from the text. And then the source goes on to list what happened after the film came out. These, well, they call them miraculous results.
Yeah, and they're not small things either. The accounts described are, well, pretty amazing. Stories of people getting healed from chronic pain, depression vanishing, serious diseases apparently cured, even like paralysis overcome, people coming back from near-death situations.
It's a wide range.
Yeah.
And then there's the financial side, too. Reports of, big sums of money just showing up, unexpected checks arriving in the mail.
These are all presented as anecdotal stories within the source material, of course.
Oh, absolutely. It's presented as evidence people shared after encountering the firm's ideas. And it wasn't just health and money.
No, right. People apparently used it for everything. Finding their dream home, the perfect partner, getting a specific car they wanted, landing jobs, completely turning businesses around, sometimes really fast.
There are even these nice little stories about kids using it, getting better grades, making new friends, that sort of thing.
So, okay, given these really big claims, this idea of a hidden secret and these reported outcomes, what we want to do in this deep dive is really unpack it. Based on the source material you've got there, let's pull out the main ideas and think about what they might mean for you, the listener.
Sounds good. So, the absolute core of all this, the foundation for everything else, is what the source calls the law of attraction.
The law of attraction. Okay.
And they quote Charles Hannell, writing way back in 1912, who apparently called it the greatest and the most infallible law upon which the entire system of creation depends. So, no small claim there.
Infallible. Wow. Okay, so what is it according to the sources? Or break it down for us.
Well, the basic idea, as Bob Doyle puts it in the material, is that like attracts like, especially when it comes to thoughts.
Like attracts like
Yeah.
with thoughts.
Yeah. The idea is that your thoughts actually have a frequency, like a vibration, and you're constantly sending this signal out into the universe. John Assaraf and Dr. Joe Vitale both talk about this. It's like a magnetic signal.
Okay, a frequency, like a radio station.
Exactly. The source actually uses the analogy of a TV transmission tower. You know how a tower broadcasts a frequency and your TV picks it up and shows a picture?
Uh-huh.
Well, the idea here is that your thoughts broadcast your frequency, and that frequency attracts back experiences and circumstances that match it. So you, listening right now, you're like a human transmission tower. Really powerful one, potentially.
Right, but then the obvious question comes up again. If we're all broadcasting, why isn't everyone living their dream life if we're all powerful towers?
Well, according to Bob Proctor and John Assaraf in The Source, a big part of the problem is focus. Most people, apparently, spend more time thinking about what they don't want rather than what they do want.
Focusing on the negatives, the worries.
Exactly. They call it the don't want epidemic.
Mhm.
Thinking, I don't want to be late, I don't want to be sick, I don't want to be in debt.
And the law of attraction It just picks up on a subject of the thought, not the don't.
That's the key point they make. The law is impersonal. Bob Doyle and Lisa Nichols emphasize this. It doesn't judge if your thought is good or bad, wanted or unwanted. It just responds to the vibration, the frequency of the thought itself.
So if I'm constantly thinking about being in debt, feeling stressed about debt, I'm sending out a debt frequency.
That's the idea presented. By focusing on lack, on debt, and feeling those negative emotions, you're broadcasting that signal. And the law, being impersonal, just responds by bringing more circumstances that match debt, more lack.
Okay, that's a crucial distinction. It's not about wishing, it's about the actual dominant thought and feeling.
Precisely. Which means becoming aware of your thoughts, and especially your feelings, is really, really important according to this philosophy.
Right, okay, so if thoughts have frequency, how do we know what frequency we're on? How do we monitor that signal we're sending out?
Well, that's where feelings come in. The source material, quoting Bob Doyle, Marcy Shimoff, Jack Canfield, makes a big deal about feelings. They are supposedly your immediate indicator, your feedback.
Feedback on the frequency.
Exactly. If you feel good, happy, joyful, grateful, loved, that's a sign your thoughts are positive, and you're on a frequency that attracts more good stuff.
And if you feel bad, anxious, angry, sad.
That's the signal you're having negative thoughts. You're on a frequency that's likely to attract more experiences that make you feel well bad.
So feelings are like a communication channel from the universe, maybe.
Yeah.
Jack Canfield calls it a feedback mechanism, right?
Yeah, or like a warning signal. If you feel bad, it's like an alarm saying, warning, negative thought pattern detected, change frequency.
That's a helpful way to think about it. And it's not just the thought, but the feeling that has the real juice.
Bob Doyle really emphasizes that. He suggests what you're feeling is actually more powerful in terms of attraction than just the thought alone. So consciously shifting your feelings, even for a short time, can apparently start to change your day and ultimately your life.
Okay, but changing feelings isn't always easy, is it? If you're stuck in a funk.
True, which is why the source introduces this idea of secret shifters. That's Bob Proctor's term for things you can use to deliberately change your emotional state, like instantly.
Secret shifters.
Yeah.
Like what?
Oh, it could be anything that works for you. Listening to music that lifts you up, thinking about a really happy memory, picturing something wonderful happening in the future, spending time in nature, thinking about someone you love, or even a pet.
So things that reliably make you feel good.
Exactly. The advice is basically figure out what your personal secret shifters are, make a list. So when you catch yourself feeling low, you have tools ready to go to shift your frequency.
That's practical. It's about taking conscious control of your vibration, essentially.
That seems to be the core message. Be aware of your feelings and use tools to shift them towards the positive when needed.
Okay, so we understand the law, the role of thoughts, the importance of feelings. How do we actually use this to manifest things, to create what we want?
Right. The source lays out a three-step framework. They call it the creative process. Simple steps: ask, believe, receive.
Ask, believe, receive.
Okay. And they use a great metaphor. James Ray shares this one. It's like Aladdin's lamp.
Oh, okay, like the genie.
Exactly. You are Aladdin. You make the wish. That's the ask step. The universe, or the law of attraction, is the genie. And its only response, apparently, is, your wish is my command.
No questions asked.
That's the key point in metaphor. The genie assumes everything you think about, talk about, or focus on is something you want. It doesn't filter.
Right, back to that impersonal nature. Okay, so step one, ask. What does that involve?
Clarity. Just be really clear about what it is you desire. Get specific. And John Assaraf is quoted saying something pretty bold here. We can have whatever it is that we choose. I don't care how big it is.
Wow, no limits. So ask is about clarity and intention. What about step two, believe?
This one's crucial. Believing isn't just hoping. It's acting, speaking, and thinking as if you've already received what you asked for.
Acting as if.
Okay. James Reed talks about unwavering faith here, really knowing it's on its way, or even that it's already here in a non-physical sense. The source even suggests kind of playing make-believe, like a kid does, fully immersed in the reality of having it.
That sounds challenging, especially the acting as if part when you don't see it yet. And what about the how? Don't you need a plan?
The how. This is a big point in source. Bob Proctor, Dr. Joe Vitale, Mike Dooley, they all stress this. You don't need to figure out how it will happen. That's not your job.
Not our job. Whose job is it?
The universe's job. Or the genie's, stick with the metaphor. Trying to control the how, or trying to map out every step, apparently shows you don't fully trust the process. It signals a lack of faith.
Okay, so let go of the how. That requires a lot of trust. What about the third step? Receive.
Receiving is very much tied into that feeling state we talked about. It's about feeling now the way you expect to feel once your desire has manifested.
Feeling it in advance.
Exactly. Marcia Shimoff and Michael Bernard Beckwith really emphasize this. Feeling good, feeling grateful, feeling joyful during the process puts you on the frequency of what you want. Feeling good now is presented as the fastest way to bring it into your reality.
So it's not just asking and then waiting passively, it's asking, believing, and feeling good.
That seems to be the recipe. The source even suggests using an affirmation like, I am receiving now, I am receiving all the good in my life now,
Hmm?
to really embody that receptive, positive state. Marcy Shimoff apparently visualized and felt everything into existence.
Okay, so this process, it's not just theory. The source gives examples of using it for specific things, right? Like weight loss.
Yeah, it tackles some common areas. For weight, the advice is, interestingly, not to focus on losing weight,
Why not?
because focusing on losing weight keeps weight as the dominant thought. Instead, they suggest focusing on your perfect weight. Visualize and feel yourself at that ideal weight.
So it's about the thoughts again. Fat thoughts create being overweight. Thin thoughts create your perfect weight. Is that the idea?
That's what's proposed.
Yeah.
It even suggests that food itself isn't the primary cause of weight issues. It's the thoughts and feelings you have about the food.
Hmm. That's a different perspective. They mention Wallace Wattles, too, about eating.
Yeah, a tip about eating with focused attention. Really being present with your food, which supposedly helps your body assimilate it perfectly.
Interesting. And there were other examples of manifesting specific things, like the feather.
Oh, right. Dr. Joe Vital's story about deciding to manifest a feather, a very specific kind, while in New York, and then finding one. And David Shermer apparently visualizes exact parking spots and finds them consistently.
So using it for small things, too, to build belief, perhaps.
Could be. It demonstrates the principle-focused intention, belief, and then allowing it to appear.
There was also something about planning your day.
Yeah, Prentice Mulford's idea. Thinking through your day in advance, setting the intention for things to go smoothly. The idea is that this helps you avoid rushing, stress, and attracting negative stuff that happens when you're feeling frantic.
Okay, that makes sense. What about a big one? Money. How does the secret apply there?
Same core principle, really. Focus on wealth, on abundance, not on the lack of money. You need to emit the feeling, the frequency of having more than enough.
Easier said than done sometimes. How do they suggest doing that?
Well, it suggests playing games, like pretending you have wealth. Consciously change your language instead of, I can't afford it. Train yourself to think or say, I can afford that, I can buy that, even if just mentally.
Shifting the mindset.
Exactly. David Shermer talks about visualizing checks coming in the mail. Another interesting technique mentioned is to look at your bills, but instead of feeling dread, pretend they're checks you've received and feel gratitude for the money coming in.
Pretend bills are checks. That's creative.
It's all about shifting the feeling associated with money, from lack and worry to abundance and gratitude. Feeling happy now is presented as the key way to attract more money.
And relationships. What's the angle there?
Focus on appreciation. What you appreciate in others, you get more of. Complaining about someone, focusing on their faults, just amplifies those things, apparently. What you focus on expands.
So appreciate the good in people.
Yeah. And importantly, it also stresses loving yourself first. That self-love is the foundation for attracting and maintaining good relationships.
Right. And health. We touched on it, but the source seems to say our thoughts literally create our physical health.
It's a pretty radical claim. Dr. John Hagelin is quoted saying, thoughts and emotions literally determine the physical body's structure and function.
Wow.
They use the placebo effect as an example. You believe a sugar pill will heal you, and sometimes it does. That's presented as the law of attraction in action belief, creating a physical result.
And gratitude helps here too.
Dr. John DeMartini suggests love and gratitude can actually dissolve negativity and disease. There's also this idea that since our body cells replace themselves over time, illness is primarily held in place by thought, by focusing on it.
So the advice is to think perfect health.
Pretty much. Focus on perfect health. Feel the feelings of perfect health. They highlight the story of Morris Goodman, the miracle man, who rebuilt his body with his mind after a devastating plane crash.
Okay, so it covers personal life, health, wealth, relationships. What about, like, the world? Big problems, war, poverty. How does The Secret address those?
Well, it tackles the idea of resisting things you don't want. Hale Dwoskin and Bob Doyle point out this principle.
Yeah.
What you resist persists.
What you resist persists, meaning fighting against something gives it energy.
That's the idea. By focusing all your attention and emotion on fighting against something anti-war, anti-poverty, you're still focusing on war or poverty. You're giving it your energy, your frequency.
So what's the alternative? Just ignore problems.
Not exactly ignore, but shift the focus. Be pro-peace instead of anti-war. Be pro-abundance instead of anti-poverty. Focus your energy, thoughts, and feelings on the solution, on what you want to see.
Like Mother Teresa saying she'd attend a peace rally but not an anti-war rally.
That example is used in the source. Put your energy into the positive vision.
What about things like the news media? It often focuses on the negative.
The source suggests the media is largely an effect. It reflects what society, as a collective, tends to focus on, often drama and problems. To change the message, the idea is that more individuals need to shift their focus to what they want, to the positive stories, to solutions.
So individual focus matters on a global scale, too.
That's the implication. Lisa Nichols talks about how focusing on joy, love, and abundance in your own life actually helps uplift the world because we're all connected. Your positive vibration contributes to the whole.
This idea of connection that leads into the secret to you, right? Our fundamental nature.
Yes, this card gets quite deep. It reiterates that everything is energy. Everything vibrates. And your thoughts and feelings dictate your specific vibration, your frequency.
And this connects to science.
The source draws parallels with quantum physics, suggesting these ideas aren't just spiritual, but potentially align with scientific understandings of energy and vibration.
Right.
You are, again, this powerful transmission tower.
And we can tap into something bigger, like a universal mind.
Exactly. The idea is that all knowledge, all potential inventions, all possibilities already exist in this universal mind, this field of energy. And our minds can access it, draw information and inspiration from it.
Which links to the idea of oneness.
Right. That we're not separate individuals, fundamentally. We're all interconnected, all part of this one energy field, one supreme mind, one consciousness, whatever term you use.
And if we're all connected,
then thinking negatively about someone else ultimately harms you because there's no real separation. It's like sending negativity into the field you're also part of.
that's a powerful thought. And a source takes it even further, doesn't it? About who we are.
It really does. It states quite directly that you are essentially God in a physical body, spirit having a human experience, eternal energy, that you have unlimited potential and power within you.
Wow. God in a physical body. That's a lot to take in.
It's a core assertion, and this relates to the power of I am statements, which Dr. Fred Allen Wolf discusses. Whatever follows I am is described as a powerful declaration that summons creation. So saying I am tired or I am broke is using that creative power in a negative way. Being mindful of your I ams is crucial.
So focus on I am healthy, I am abundant, I am happy.
That's the recommendation. And to speed things up, see what you want is already done, an accomplished fact. Like Henry Ford visualizing the V8 engine before it existed.
But how do we access this power consistently? It's easy to forget.
Awareness is key. All your power, the source says, is in your awareness of that power. Michael Bernard Beckwith's phrase is, remember to remember.
Remember to remember. Okay. Any tricks for that?
Well, practices like regularly checking in, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? Setting intentions, maybe asking for gentle nudges throughout the day to bring you back to present moment awareness.
So it's about cultivating presence and awareness of our thoughts and feelings.
Yes, and the ultimate idea presented here is quite staggering. The entire universe emerges from thought. And therefore, you are the creator of your destiny, the creator of your experience of the universe.
Creator of the universe. Okay. So if we have all this power, this creative ability, what's the point? What's the goal of life, according to The Secret?
It boils down to one word: joy.
Joy.
Yeah, Jack Canfield puts it bluntly. If it ain't fun, don't do it. The primary aim, the whole reason for using this power, is to feel good, to experience joy.
So follow your bliss. Do what makes you happy.
Pretty much. Do what you love. Do things that bring you joy. Actively ask yourself, what brings me joy? And then do more of that. Because radiating joy attracts more things to be joyful about.
So happiness isn't just a goal, it's the means to.
Dr. John Hagelin calls inner happiness the fuel of success. The message is, don't wait for external circumstances to change to be happy. Be happy now. Feel good now. That's the core takeaway.
Feel good now.
That's it. Everything you want, the money, the health, the relationships, you want them because you believe they'll make you feel good. But the secret is You can feel good first. It's an inside job.
So aligning your thoughts and frequency with happiness now is the key to creating, well, your own heaven on earth.
That's how Marcy Shimoff puts it. And the source ends on a very optimistic note, suggesting we're living in this incredible time where limitations are falling away, the impossible is becoming possible.
Because we're starting to understand this power within.
Exactly. The secret isn't out there somewhere, it's within you. And the more you use this power, the more you apparently, it becomes the power, the perfection, the wisdom, the love, the joy itself.
So wrapping it all up, the core message seems to be you hold the pen or the chalk to write whatever you want on the blackboard of your life.
That's a good way to put it. And the key to doing that effectively, the absolute cornerstone, is feeling good now.
Embrace your magnificence, as the source says. Now, it really does paint a picture of, well, a glorious era of potential.
Unlimited potential, seemingly.
Yeah.
Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder, maybe.
Go on.
Well, if your thoughts truly are shaping your reality, if this whole framework holds water, what seemingly impossible thing will you, listening right now, choose to focus on creating? What if, just what if, the only real limit is the one you put on your own thinking?